It was a shocking turn of events that rocked the music world and left fans around the globe in disbelief. Travis Barker, the iconic drummer of the pop-punk band Blink-182, had been sentenced to life in prison after being convicted of murder and drug possession charges. The news sent shockwaves through the entertainment industry and left many wondering how the seemingly clean-cut and successful musician had fallen so far. The case first came to light in early 2023 when police responded to reports of a shooting at a residential neighborhood in Los Angeles. Upon arriving at the scene, officers discovered the lifeless body of 32-year-old Andre Weiss, a local music producer who had collaborated with Barker on several projects in the past. Further investigation revealed that Barker had been involved in a physical altercation with Weiss earlier that evening, and evidence suggested that Barker had retrieved a firearm and shot Weiss multiple times. Barker was promptly arrested and charged with first-degree murder, as well as possession of a controlled substance with the intent to distribute. Prosecutors argued that the murder was premeditated and that Barker had been under the influence of drugs at the time of the incident. Barker, who had no previous criminal record, pleaded not guilty to the charges, claiming that the shooting was an act of self-defense. The trial that followed was intense and highly publicized, with the media and the public closely following every development. Barker's defense team argued that he had been provoked by Weiss and that he had acted to protect himself. They also pointed to Barker's history of mental health struggles, including addiction and post-traumatic stress disorder stemming from a near-fatal plane crash he had survived in 2008. However, the prosecution painted a different picture, presenting evidence that Barker had been involved in a heated dispute with Weiss over a lucrative music deal, and that the murder was a calculated act of revenge. They also presented testimony from witnesses who claimed to have seen Barker purchasing large quantities of illegal drugs in the weeks leading up to the incident. After a lengthy and emotionally charged trial, the jury ultimately found Barker guilty on both the murder and drug possession charges. In a somber moment, the judge handed down the sentence: life in prison with no possibility of parole. The news of Barker's conviction and sentencing sent shockwaves through the music community and beyond. Fans, friends, and fellow musicians alike expressed their disbelief and sadness, struggling to reconcile the image of the talented and beloved drummer with the violent and tragic events that had unfolded. Many pointed to Barker's troubled past as a contributing factor to his downfall. In the years following the plane crash, Barker had struggled with addiction, post-traumatic stress, and a series of personal setbacks that had taken a toll on his mental health and well-being. Despite seeking treatment and trying to rebuild his life, it seemed that the demons he had fought for so long had ultimately caught up with him. Others, however, were less sympathetic, arguing that Barker's actions were unforgivable and that he deserved the harsh sentence he had received. They pointed to the devastating impact of his crimes on the victim's family and the broader music community, and called for stricter accountability and consequences for high-profile individuals who engage in such heinous acts. Regardless of one's perspective, there was a palpable sense of tragedy and loss surrounding the case. Barker, who had once been celebrated for his musical prowess and his ability to connect with audiences, now found himself at the center of a harrowing cautionary tale, a stark reminder of the fragility of fame and the potential consequences of unchecked personal demons. As the news of Barker's sentencing began to spread, fans and industry insiders alike struggled to make sense of the unfolding events. Many took to social media to express their shock and grief, sharing memories of Barker's incredible drumming skills and the joy his music had brought to their lives. "I can't believe this is happening," wrote one distraught fan on Twitter. "Travis was always such a nice guy, and his music meant so much to me. How could this have happened?" Others, however, were more critical, calling for a deeper examination of the societal and systemic issues that may have contributed to Barker's downfall. We need to start having real conversations about mental health, addiction, and the pressures of fame, wrote a music journalist on Facebook. This tragedy is a wake-up call for the industry to do better in supporting its artists and addressing the underlying problems that can lead to such devastating outcomes. Indeed, the case of Travis Barker has reignited a broader discussion about the challenges faced by high-profile individuals in the entertainment industry and the need for more comprehensive support systems and accountability measures to prevent similar tragedies from occurring in the future. As the legal proceedings drew to a close, Barker's lawyers made a final appeal for leniency, citing his history of mental health struggles and the possibility of rehabilitation. However, the judge remained firm in his decision, stating that the gravity of Barker's crimes warranted the harshest possible sentence. In a final statement before being led away to begin his life sentence, Barker addressed the court and the public, expressing deep remorse for his actions and acknowledging the devastating impact they had had on the victim's family and the broader community. "I take full responsibility for my actions, and I know that nothing I say can undo the harm I've caused," Barker said, his voice trembling with emotion. "I'm truly sorry for the pain and suffering I've inflicted, and I can only hope that one day, those I've hurt will find it in their hearts to forgive me." As Barker was escorted out of the courtroom, the gravity of the situation hung heavy in the air. The once celebrated drummer, whose boundless energy and infectious enthusiasm had once captivated audiences around the world, now faced the stark reality of spending the rest of his life behind bars, a cautionary tale of the perils of unchecked personal demons and the fragility of fame. In the weeks and months that followed, the news of Barker's conviction and sentencing continued to reverberate throughout the music industry and beyond. Tributes and memorials poured in from fellow musicians, with many reflecting on the immense talent and charisma that Barker had brought to the stage. "Travis was one of the most talented and hardworking drummers I've ever known," said Blink, 182 bandmate Mark Hoppus in a heartfelt statement. His passion for music was unparalleled, and he always gave 110% to everything he did. "This is a devastating loss, not just for our band, but for the entire music community." Others, however, were more critical, drawing attention to the broader systemic issues that may have contributed to Barker's downfall. "We need to start having honest conversations about the dark side of the music industry, the pressure, the addiction, the mental health struggles that so many artists face," wrote a music critic in a widely shared op-ed. Barker's case is a tragic reminder that we can't keep ignoring these problems and expecting our idols to simply overcome them on their own.